Hello there. Yes, it's Matthew Miller on the Eco Living Podcast. Yeah, on the Eco Living Podcast, and this podcast is about covering the oncoming solar movement, the cold weather that is happening in New Zealand, not just New Zealand, also Australia and other places, including places of the Northern Hemisphere. And also, we're going to be speaking about the food shortages as well, including one in China. So, well, let's get to it. And of course, we know that the mainstream also likes to downplay the sun, which I will get to that. And, well, on this first article there, we got documents Earth changing during the next grand solar movement and the pole shift. And there's the articles there, and look at that there. That shows predictions of the date there as well. And yeah, and NOAA, whose solar forecast generally comes out higher than NASA says it won't be until mid 2025 before we see the peak of the next solar cycle 25, with the maximum topping out 104.6 sunspots. There we go. Just gotta lock my chair on. Cause see all that cracking and just you know what I mean. The chair there, and yeah, you know what shirt I'm wearing? It's not CO2, it's not you, it is the sun. I actually bought it when that 2030 was selling it through t-shirts as well. So I'm gonna go and buy it, and I use it and I wear it when I'm doing shows like those as well, so you know what I mean. Well, people, there's a lot of stuff there, and I ain't going to just let you decide on this one as well. And of course, the link will be down there below, the link. So, if you want to look at it, just go and click on the link. It's there, and let's move on to the next one. And yet, the grand solar movement incoming. I'll say we're probably already in it. Because we're starting to see... yeah, a lot of places getting wet or cold on that time, although the global temperature says that we are warming up a bit. Of course, yeah, we might be getting the second minimum in the Arctic sea ice thickness though, or the land mass though, so. And and Greenland, yeah, you can see there, it actually had a record spike there as well with Greenland, and to know that the ice is actually gaining. It was at times it will melt a bit, then it will go back up, but now it'll be gaining again. So, yeah, you can see all the places around Europe getting all that blue and purple as well, so, and yeah, it shows the NASA predictions, so yeah, look at that there, and well, now of course, yes, the mainstream media, especially here in New Zealand, they say, of course, they like to downplay the sun. They say climate sprays, suns do affect the weather a bit, but not as much as other things. See, they like to downplay the sun. This is in order to keep the global warming agenda going, to push us in Agenda 21. And here the sun goes through periods of high and low activity, but it's not the main concern when it comes to, of course, of global warming. Well, mate, if you want to predict what's going to be happening though, you look at the sun. And that's the thing. And Piers Corbyn had actually been often correcting the weather patterns by looking at the sun, how it's going to affect the climate. And yes, Piers Corbyn knows that though. with Robert mentioned Lanley. Just also, you should actually have a debate with Piers Corbin. I think Piers Corbin will just annihilate you because Piers Corbin, he's got all the facts. He knows what it means. A decade of sun. And of course, the sun is the main driver of climate change. The mainstream media just tell us they know it's up. Yeah, of course, there's other things though, and they want to tell us, say, oh no, it's always mainly humans, it's not the sun. See, they always like to tell fossil fuels, which there is no such thing of though, and of course, it's a natural occurrence because you can make coal out of carbon dioxide, and also, oil comes from hydrocarbons. You can see with old wells that do refill over time, and the oils do not come from dead dinosaurs, nor does coal. So, now of course the mainstream. Let's look at how many sunspots there is. The sun's absolutely blank. And we're actually at the end of cycle 24, and we don't know when the next cycle will begin as well, and maybe sometime this year or even next year. Of course, they like to downplay the sun. It's because it's all about pushing the global warming agenda. It has nothing to do with the environment. It's all about promoting agenda to run get out of our land and be put in jam-packed cities. And speaking of that, what's up with that? Fed up with the BBC climate alarmism, Tony MPs and table bill to defund the BBC. Yeah, of course they're pushing the same thing what they are doing, and what New Zealand mainstream media always like to do: push the global agenda, downplay the sun. Well, look like we are entering the La Nina, according to the. And I think we're actually in there, but La Nina it's actually a week once for now. So, well, now it's time to move on to the cold weather. So, let's move on to that. And yeah, let's say, it's from lecture first. New Zealand's first day of spring delivers a bitterly cold temperature and widespread snow to the South Island. Well, people look at that. The first spring was usually a cool one though, and down New Zealand South Island plant and blanket many regions. Yeah, it looked like we're still in winter. It's still snow. It's still snowing. Yeah. And of course, look at that. The water there. 20 centimeters was about 8 inches there. Well, there's a foot there. After 3 minutes report so far. Well, no, not really. It's actually about a foot. That's actually on a table. Yeah, and they say it was going to be quite cold there. Look at that there. And of course, the fires are starting over in like an Otago there, and which we're about to get to that soon enough there. And of course, the changing jet streams, and which we're about to explain that soon. And let's move on to the next one here. And Yeah, New Zealand South Island trip to the sunny new no snow with another significant snow event arriving next Tuesday. That was August 28th there, and yeah, look at that. Man, look like the skiers are really enjoying some time there as well, and yeah, look at that. I hope that they really enjoying their time. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, forgot to go back out there, and yeah. Weather, cold temperature, and thunderstorms ahead of the epic weekend for most. Yeah, well, because who knows, speaking of that though, so if the global is not as hot as they do, soon those people are going to have to explain themselves. They will have to explain themselves, so that person over there, what man? For downplaying son, I am calling you out. Because I have the evidence that you were downplaying. And then I say, what kind of evidence? Well, why don't you have a debate with Piers Corbyn? So let's get back to that there. And there's some emojis there as well. Saying, what the weather is doing. And there's the Channel Islands there, the South Island. And there's the Stewart Island there. Fire dangers due to high winds. That's one Otago there. And yeah. Must be like during the dark. Must be during the small hours. So. And of course there, look at that. You can see the jet streams though there, and that's why Antarctic's a bit warm, because because of the jet streams, it gets it to be warmer and colder. Yeah, you can look at the jet streams though. Yeah, it's all wavy and that though, and well, just like today, there's no sunspots according to the space weather there, and of course the mainstream is just they're going to keep pushing the go one. It's just it contradicts what they're pushing. It really does. It contradicts. And with the sudden snowstorm does to Takaka Hills. Well, not only New Zealand's getting colder, but also Australia, Let's go to Australia there, and there it is there. Australia recorded its most snowfall ever outside of an alpine area. That's like outside of an alpine area, anything that's below 500 meters. Wow. Yeah. And there's a kangaroo enjoying a bit of snow there. Yeah, because it must be all that cold coming up from the Antarctica, and yes. Antarctica there, and and it's also some snow in South Africa as well, unusually. And there's one that says, a rare and surprise snowfall on the Cape Town's Table Mountains see cableway open early, so you get to see the beautiful snow. That's around over Cape Town, the southernmost area in South Africa, in Africa region, continent. Yeah, because look at all that snow. Wow.
sleet has now officially turned to snow. No Smurfs up here today. Just the red guy.
Wow, yeah, snow and damn blizzard on the mountain. And that's in South Africa, people. That's South Africa. Yeah, storm report, South Africa. Well, people, there's a lot of epic stuff happening there. It's been getting unusually cold weather. Well, yeah. Well, let's just move on now. It's spectacular there, yeah. A lot of low-level snow has fallen into the crest area in the Western Cape as well. It's in the Western Cape, South Africa. Yeah, and now, even it's still summer in the Hemisphere, they're still getting better record cold as well. That doesn't seem to stop them from getting record cold, so let's go there. Britain braced for the coldest August on the bank holiday on record as the Arctic air engulfed the Western Europe. Well, look at that there. Yeah, wow. And that's just around the end of August there. And look at that cold air around France, Spain and Portugal. And in the best south area of Germany, Switzerland, and some in Italy as well, and you can see Ireland as well, and France, yeah, of course, we just mentioned that now. France breaks a monthly cold record, so yeah, just like I showed you before, and of course, but cold in the Northern Africa continent, yeah. You can see all the cold there in the Europe region there, and Italy and Sicily and the islands there as well, and well people, now it's time to move on to food shortages and yeah, food shortages. First I'm going to be getting to that right now, and yeah,
ladies and gentlemen,
just before we start, and yeah, let's get to it. Just turn that down a bit so it doesn't blow my eardrums out. Well, let's get to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you perhaps heard about the mystery seeds from China and how dangerous they were. But did you know that homegrown squash and other vegetables can actually kill you? Yes, food is very dangerous. Growing food, gardening, extraordinarily risky. And we need to talk about that. I'm Christian, and this is the Ice Age Farmer broadcast. And I've covered in depth the total technocratic takeover of our food supply system. Indeed, at this point of everything, in 2020, it's become clear all these agendas have been rolled into one glob of globalism nonsense. But specifically, we have seen that the technocrats intend wholly to go so far as to take total control of all resources on the planet and track everything, track all activity. And from this article in Forbes about using the blockchain and artificial intelligence to do just that, we even read that they intend to tag each individual coffee bean, each individual cut of a fish. They want a total awareness of every resource. And so an agenda like that would be at risk if we started growing our own food, if we started saving seeds and producing our own organic food that they didn't tag. Well, that would be anathema to their agenda, wouldn't it? But they've thought of that. And they imagine a future where growing your own food is illegal. Because after...
Oh boy, that actually sounds like it reminds me of the food bill back in 2011. Yeah, 2011. And of course, I got the National Medicine magazine, and I just happened to bookmark the area. I went through my archives and found it there, and let's go and read it to you. With the food bill, what this food bill says as well. I'm going to read that little bit there as well, and this one's from the Health Freedom Report. It's in the second issue of the Natural Medicine magazine. If you happen to have any other one though, but I still keep them as well, so because it might be useful sometimes. So let's just read a bit of part there. So let's yeah, there it is there. The food bill, and reason why I call it Farmageddon, because it is a war on farmers and growers. Another threat to the health freedom on the New Zealand horizon is the proposed food bill. The July-August issue of the Organic New Zealand reports that the director of the Kuranga Institute had attained a confirmation that by the lawyers that the food bill will criminalise people who exchange seeds, plant materials, or home-raised produce, or even giving them away. If they cannot afford or otherwise not granted a license to do so. So people in New Zealand, when we had John Key in office, he had tried to get that bill passed, but there was some public pushback, and they happened to win. So that sort of delayed it from being passed into law, or even coming into law. So let's read that last bit. This is information on the New Zealand. For the future of the New Zealand food supply and the health of the people's health. The text of the bill may read here, and it's got the legislation there as well, and I could link it if I choose, but it's in that. If you probably didn't remember that was 9 years ago as well, and boy, but they will try again, especially when Ardern gets into office in New Zealand. So let's just continue what the Ice Age farmer was going to say.
After all, competition is sin, right? And we want everyone to buy from our integrated robotic food supply chain.
People, there it is. You control the food, you control the people. And that is a quote from Henry Kissinger. And the full quote says that control all, you control nations, you control the food, you control people. And that's a quote from Henry Kissinger.
And so when we see the very beginnings of this agenda rolling out right now, paving the way to actually make it illegal for you to grow food or for you to keep animals. And even though it sounds a little ridiculous now, just like meat shortages and Wendy's not having burgers sounded ridiculous last year, but we've seen it now. So I want to again look a little bit forward and squint and try and make out what we're already seeing now of this agenda to make growing food illegal. Now, the Chinese false flag seed thing that I covered, the mystery seeds from China, I indicated was probably the beginning hint of this. And indeed, China did turn out to be a false flag. China denied that they had sent these seeds, and in the days thereafter, the USDA claimed that the seeds were noxious. They didn't specify exactly what they meant by that, but they certainly put out the language and the headlines, and they did this everywhere. In fact, there were tens of thousands of people that received seeds. This was a very expensive operation, whoever sent the seeds and whatever they were, just the logistics behind it and all the media coverage with the talking points going out from the central. You can tell this was an operation, a propaganda. It was very interesting. So these dangerous seeds went out, And then this piece came out. Arkansas man planted those mystery seeds from China, and he grew a massive, unstoppable fruit.
U.S. Department.
Well, people, you have it though. Yeah, of course they're trying it again. We're trying to make growing your own food illegal because it's all about Agenda 21. They tried it here in New Zealand before, and I showed it in the Natural Medicine magazine. I'll show it up there again if you haven't seen it already. So, see, there it is there, and that's the second issue. That was from November 2011. So that is 9 years ago. And now I'm going to go to the next video. I'm not going to show any of it because it is a wee bit long or so.
Do you remember?
Yeah, and this is from the Chinese food shortages versus things. So people, I ain't going to let you decide on this one as well, and let you make up your own minds. Yeah, of course, China's also having a food shortage because all the floods and that as well. The floods and the Three Gorges Dam, and we know that Chinese dynasties do collapse when there's times of solar minimums. They do collapse the Emperor's dynasty, and we're also starting to see the collapse of the CCP especially when the solar minimum comes as well. And also they're already getting some bubonic plagues as well, and because when people are not getting enough nutrients as well, man, that's going to become a real issue though. And that's when that bubonic plague will become an epidemic. Because people are not getting enough nutrients, they're starving and that though, and which of course there's an agenda trying to, with the elites trying to bring a famine just time in this decade. Yeah, I bet there's going to be a famine coming on. So that's why it's important to grow your own food, people. And this one's from LY86, Chinese food shortages worse, what do you think? And with the people in China, I don't think they really grow their own food. I don't think so. I might have to send that fellow a comment say that, you ever seen Chinese people growing their own food over in China? I'd like to ask them that. And the thing is, I should actually send a comment so he will actually talk about, do Chinese people grow their own food? Yeah, I should send him that question after this podcast. So let's just move on. And yes, on this final note there, and of course, at least there are some people in New Zealand growing their own food, and yes, they're important. Well, the Mangere family of 11 puts out at least one bin of rubbish each week. You can see them, they're growing their own food. Yeah, good idea. It's useful because with the solar minimum coming, you gotta need to grow your own food, raise your animals, because man, raise your animals and learn to compost as well, like those people are doing though. And they're seed raising and that though. See, people, you gotta learn how to do that, because soon seeds gonna be expensive as well, because with the food and that as well, it might even cost just as much as gold. Yeah, because I heard that gold's actually reached a record high as well, just not long ago. So yeah, see, people, collect food waste and bokashi shard bins. Yeah, you can it gets because bokashi bins, the bokashi bins, it's bokashi means it's just have all the microorganisms breaking down the food waste and it gets turned into waste. And that's the awesome idea. We need to learn that, people, so we can have good soil. And because with healthy soil comes healthy food, healthy plants and that though. And with healthy plants comes healthy people. So we need to grow our own food, people. And Yeah, there's a lady 140 kilos of fruit during lockdown. That's a lot of fruit, man. Man, it look like this lady's well prepared though. And she planted, and then as a permaculture sets out in the Madakana Farmers Market. Yeah, permaculture is going to be the way to go, people. And yes, people, it's time that we need to grow our own food. And yes, we can see what's happening in America. People are actually moving out of New York. Of course, the strong people and wealthy people are moving out of cities because they know what's going to happen, while the weak people decide to remain because they want to be, because they're just so brainwashed in that though. And well, people, I hope you actually enjoy this video. I know I don't actually have any comments, so we won't be going through any comments because we haven't got any recent comments yet. So well, people, if you got something to say, feel free to comment as well, but please do keep it short. So yeah, do keep it short. No more than like 200 words or something, or 200 characters, no more than that, please, because I want to be able to read them throughout quickly and answer other people's questions as well. So if you got questions, do send me a comment, though, then I can go and answer your questions and that as well. And if you got any thing to share, do share or something. Do send me a link or something if you want me to show me something. So feel free to do so. And also, if you hadn't subscribed to my channel, feel free to subscribe as well. And also, there's also, I actually do have a Twitch account as well, but it's also my gaming platform as well. So it's and I do have 2 channels as well that I use. And I do have a gaming channel on YouTube as well. I am going to leave a link to that one as well, so you can also support my gaming channel if you are into video games or so. Because I'm also a gamer as well. I do that in my free time as well. So feel free to do that as well. Well, people, I don't have any more to say. This is all I got to say for now. This is Matthew Miller, sign off, over and out.